Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, I'm dreaming about robots.
But do robots dream of electric sheep?
Probably. So they go like, I don't know what sounds sheep make. It's like ba. I guess it's like a techno ba.
Yeah, it's got like a whole lot of reverb on it.
Yeah, maybe it's just dubstep. I'm pretty sure that's what electric sheep sound like.
Oh, that would actually be cool.
Just ba 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 ba.
And do a bass drop or a boss drop, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. How's your weekend been?
Good. I had some time to play some video games, which is weird.
Oh, I'm jealous.
I know. Hey man, at least, well, I'm not as busy as you. I mean, you got to play a bunch of games this weekend.
Yeah, I did. I should actually mention this because I forgot to mention it last week. I was a guest in a stream earlier. I mean, well, this is coming out on Wednesday, so it would have been last week. On the 30th, so the 7th, I mean, I was a guest on a stream. We were playing Fate over on the Untold Stories project channel.
Ooh.
And we were playing like characters from cartoons whose worlds were ending. So one person was playing Xanatos from Gargoyles. There was Kim Possible, there was Dexter from Dexter's Lab, and then I was playing the main character XJ9, aka Jenny, from My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Oh man, I literally forgot about that show until I saw who you were playing on the stream, and I was like, oh my god, it's her, the Teenage Robot Girl.
Like I was presented with a list of options, and the two that stood out to me most were, I mean, I don't know if this is a smidge of a spoiler, but some of the options were XJ9 or Danny Phantom.
Oh.
But at the time, I didn't really know the system, so I was like, I think Jenny's powers are more simple to understand. And then I was like rewatching the show, and I was like, oh yeah, she just does anything. This is more complex.
Yeah, she just like pop stuff out of her. Like she's just
pretty
like
much
a robot, a Swiss Army knife of whatever.
Yeah. Like with Danny Phantom, I was thinking like he has like a range of powers. I don't know if I'm gonna remember them all. But with XJ9, it's like no, she could just do whatever. But luckily, the system is adaptable for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've never played Fate, never even heard of Fate. I mean, I think I have heard of Fate, but I've never like explored it at all. I mean, was it cool?
Yeah,
it was.
It is a system that I'm kind of wanting to like go back to again because of the way it's set up. It's very how do I put this? It's very adaptable to pretty much anything.
Okay, cool.
So the way like abilities and stuff work is that they're more narratively described. So my abilities were more like retro futuristic technology. How do I apply that to this situation? And then there were simple skills like shooting and investigating and noticing things that you would roll a set of dice for and add your ability, like typical gameplay.
Yeah, okay.
The dice, of course, were different. Fate dice are 6-sided. But there's like 2 minus signs, 2 plus signs, and then 2 blank faces. Ooh. And like the minus is -1, the plus is +1, and the blank is just like 0.
Okay.
And then you add like your skill amount, which is, from what I've seen, mostly 1 to 3. And then you can accomplish a skill. There's a table for like how successful you are at a skill check. I didn't memorize. But there is a general table that's like from -2 to 8 or so.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I guess like the amount of dice rolled is determined by some sort of skill or something, like ability that you have, like it's the situation at hand.
From what I saw, it was always 4 dice. But then you also like add on your skill thing if you have a skill that's applicable. Or if you have some sort of like attribute that's also applicable into the situation, or aspect is the word that it was.
Oh, okay, so it just feels kind of like a almost flattened math kind of deal where it's like the numbers are really small and it's just basically just you do a thing, we all decide that what it is, and then we consult the table, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that sense of simplicity, I guess, because like rolling Okay, so I mean, Pathfinder is a great system, and I love Pathfinder, and like finding DCs and stuff like that are cool. And Pathfinder, I know, is built for, your to really, really exemplify your progression as like a hero, right?
Yeah.
They're like really heroic characters, so the numbers get bigger. But it's like sometimes it's really nice to just have like that. Oh, did you roll an 8 or did you roll a 5? Cool. I don't have to add two like teen numbers together, like, and I'm like, math complicated. But that's why I like Lancer too, because their narrative is a simple D20 with their difficulty accuracy built in plus like a number, right? So it's like, and it's like straight up, it's like 9 to 0, you failed, you get the bad thing. 10 and up, you get the good thing, and then 20 plus, it's like you get the real good thing, right? Like,
yeah,
it's really nice. I like that. Although it makes me so nervous every time I roll. I recently met some people online. I joined their game, and dude, like, it makes me like, I swear to God, my character. Oh yeah, it was great. I'm having tons of fun. Actually, it's the No Room for a Wallflower campaign that's kind of in the beta or alpha, or like the pre stuff before it's actually published by Massive. And at least I think it's published by them. I don't think it's a third party thing. But anyway, it's like, we're going through that, and it's really fun. It's giving me a lot of ideas to add to my Lancer game. And I don't know, my character's cursed. I keep rolling terribly.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Man. Yeah, but I make it up with just the ability to throw my body at situations, be like, I'm just gonna take the damage, or like, it doesn't matter, I'll take all the bullets, or whatever the bad thing is, I'll do it. But like, man, like, I'm trying to accomplish something, it's like terrible. Like, I'm rolling like 1s and 2s all the time.
But you're still helping the team at least.
Yeah, hopefully, or getting myself killed, or my mech infected by some sort of weird, creepy, Children of the Corn virus. I don't know, man. It's getting kind of weird. But yeah, enough of my flim flam. You ran a game.
Yeah, like, I did.
Today?
Yesterday, yes. Also, just so people know, if they want to check out that video, check out the stream. This is going to go up on Wednesday, so it'll be after we're doing the second part of the 2-part game. But you can check out the Untold Stories project, their Twitch channel. You can see the VOD, or I don't know if it'll be on their YouTube by Wednesday, but you can check out their channel and give them a subscription anyways, because they're really cool.
Yeah.
But also subscribe to us, because this is a channel about running RPGs, playing RPGs, and our experiences with them. And hopefully we're able to pass along some knowledge that makes it seem a little more easy to get to on the other side of the screen.
Yeah, and please steal anything that we talk about. That's like the juice of any DM. It's like hearing something that's cool and just taking it and putting it in your own games.
Yeah,
which we all do and we all love. But yeah, so you ran a game.
I did.
Anyone die this time?
They got close again.
Ooh.
But they didn't die. And
nice.
That's the best they can aim for. So this session was with another one of my home groups. I've called this campaign the Crown of Dragons, because the main goal of it is to collect all the orbs of dragonkind, which are to be placed inside this ancient crown. And then it gives you control over all the dragons. But they don't exist.
I wish I did that. I was like, you're like plot. Your plot is like perfect, and I was like, oh no, Calvin did it. That's so sad.
I mean, again, I just rip things off. This is a rip off of Infinity War, obviously, but also the video game Dragon's Crown. It's a very much a rip off of Dragon's Crown, except now it's Crown of Dragons, or Draco Coronum. Or Dracoronum. I think I called it the Dracoronum because I looked up the word for crown and dragon in Latin, and I saw that they end, like, dragon ends with a CO and crown starts with a CO, so I was just like, cool, now it's a full word that sounds all ancient and mysterious. But it's just totally a ripoff of stuff. I mean, I'm glad it looks impressive from the outside, but to me, I see where I put the duct tape.
it's like the all the cool people, but they're really just like, cardboard stands. It's just
Exactly. I'm on the other side where it's just the pieces of cardboard put together. But if you look from the right side, they're all nice and painted.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so your duders almost died, dude.
Yeah, they did. So last session we did have a character that died. So this session was like immediately following that. And
Right.
I had mentioned to them, and I probably mentioned this last week or so, I was really like more so than any other time, I didn't know what was going to come next. Because especially the way I DM now, I know the direction that people are going in, so I can prepare something over there, or I can have like an idea that I can move into that space. But with these guys, like I didn't know what was gonna happen because they could have gone back to get the body to try to resurrect it. They could have gone back to try to fight this thing. They could have just kept moving on. They could have returned where they had come from. They could have done like a million things. And I legit did not know what they were going to do or what direction they were going to go in. So before the session, I was like a bit stressed out. I did end up, and I don't know how much of these I'll use, but I did end up writing just like a sentence for each of the towns or cities that were close enough that they could get to.
Right.
And it wasn't like a very in-depth thing. It was just like, this place is dealing with this specific thing. This place is dealing with this specific thing. And I just made a list of those. And some of them were just like very short, like question marks that I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just move whatever was going on here into there because this is a more interesting idea than, I don't know. Like some of them were really generic, like maybe they're fighting with more kobolds, and some of them were like specific things to that area. So I was like, maybe I'll move this interesting idea over there. But yeah, I was kind of flying blind when I went in.
Okay. As you do.
Yeah, I mean, as you do, but like more so. I even had like a whole scene prepared. Like if they chose to resurrect the character, I had a whole thing for that, which I'm just gonna hang on to because I kind of like it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But what they ended up choosing to do was to return to the town, being guided by some of the local townspeople who had set out in their own party. Because the townspeople, as far as they knew, it was just kobolds out there who had gotten pretty bold and then decided to attack their town. So they were going to go up there and, rough them up, get their stuff back, and try to push them out of the area. But once they ran into the party, they realized, oh, there's a wyvern out there. We're not ready for that. So pretty much the townspeople are going to call for help from like the paladins of the region, but they're going to take some time to get there. So I was just letting the players know that stuff is going to progress while you're gone.
Yeah.
But they had a main quest to get to. I made a joke that they were like sticking to the main quest, not doing any side quests because they wanted to speedrun.
Speedrun. Yeah, speedrun the campaign. Forget about this flim flam.
Yeah, pixel perfect.
No time.
So they did return to the main quest. So this is where things started to get interesting because I've been using a new random encounter table that essentially I got it off of I got it off the internet, obviously, but then I changed a few things up with it. Essentially, the way it works is there is a check if you're navigating by yourself versus being like a carriage or caravan or whatever. If you're doing your own navigation, then you need to do a check of like if you're on a horse, it's a nature check or a survival check if you're walking, anything like that. And then the DC for it changes a little bit depending on what the weather is. It's like it's just like 15 to 20 usually.
Okay.
Depending on like if it's cloudy or whatnot. And then depending on how you do on that check, I go to another table where it's like if you succeeded, and then on this next table you roll a d12, and the number you get on the d12 is going to determine whether you run into like some interesting landmark, or maybe there's some other travelers out there, or maybe there's some enemies out there. But the likelihood that you get, say, enemies will depend on like if you critically fail, then you have like 50% chance to run into an enemy because it's like 1 to 6 will be an enemy. But if you succeed, you're more likely to just see other travelers or some sort of interesting landmark. And then once I determine what they're going to see, I roll on a table for that thing. So like the first thing they ran into was a bunch of travelers.
Okay.
And I had a bit of fun with this because of where they were. They ended up seeing a caravan of bards because there was a bard college nearby. And in the previous session, the wizard who goes to the very fancy arcane school had seen some graffiti that was like, it was from that college, but it was also mocking his school.
Oh.
So.
Okay, so a good old-fashioned college fight.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Because the Bard College is like a party college. And the arcane school is like that very fancy, uptight kind of school. So I had a bit of fun with that. There was this one guy who had like this open vest and he was playing a lute and he was like flirting with the party, with like all the female members of the party, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just like a thing that it was just like a random thing that happened, but I thought it was pretty fun. And now I have that guy set up for if they do go in that space, who's gonna remember them, which I hope it comes up again. And then they just rested, they camped out, normal adventurous stuff. But the next day is when I had to introduce the new character that the player was playing, the player whose character previously died.
Okay.
So I again had them roll on the table, and the thing that they got, now this was a really interesting thing because they ended up they see something unique. So it was like you see a tree that has like these ancient elven carvings in it, and this was just like sort of an improv idea based on where they were. And I described that on the tree they saw like it was mostly ancient elven that was very hard to decipher. But the thing they could decipher was the letter K, like K plus A within a heart symbol, which was partially random, partially based on previous stuff. But they took a lot of interest in it. And then I also said, you see a broken cart nearby, and you see under that tree resting up is a gnome. And then I had the pleasure of introducing my friend's new character. So his previous character was a dwarf barbarian by the name of Thraziak Marble Buster. And the marble busting was a quite literal thing where he would, whenever he got a chance to do a final blow, it would definitely be right between the legs of the enemy.
Oh, busting their marbles.
Yep. So his new character was Mifurlock Chasm Piercer.
Of course.
which I thought was going to be pretty much the same like vein, but there was an interesting twist ahead. Okay. So he's playing like a gnome rogue. And the whole conversation was just, I don't know, it was just like absurdly hilarious to me because Mifurlock is cousins with Thraziak. So the moment he realized who the party was, he was like interrogating them about, well, where's Thraziak? Why didn't you try to revive him? And
giving him a bunch of shit.
Yeah, basically. And then he chose to do, he seems to have put some points in performance, so I'm kind of like wondering if he should be a bard or a multi-class into bard, because he also did like this memorial dance for his character. And he just rolled like a really high performance check, so I was like, oh, you clearly have points in there, but also it's a really good dance that you just made up on the spot. So I tried to tie it into like the actual dwarven pantheon, but it was mostly twerking, which I don't know.
It was mostly twerking.
I guess dwarves are into that sort of thing.
Yeah, I have to honor my ancestors and just twerk. This is serious business.
Very, very solemn twerking.
Nice.
So they were able to carry on. They did, before they left town, they did get a new horse. Unfortunately...
they got a new horse.
Yeah, they did have to leave behind Chauncey Cloppington. But they got a new horse, which they immediately named Sugar Cube Bing Bong.
Nice.
And Mifurlock, of course, he had his own horse, which was named Ice Cube Whippersnapper. And I gotta be honest, I have no idea where the hell they're coming up with these horse names.
I mean, they're really good. They're really, really good.
You're so
I'm thoroughly
weird.
impressed how good these names are.
So, yeah, I guess they have two horses now. But fortunately for them, they had two carts, which means they could move at horse traveling speed instead of... because like the cart they had didn't have enough room for everyone. So some people had to walk, and they had to move at that speed. But now they have two horses, so they can move at horse speed. So they were able to move pretty fast. And then again, I had them roll on the table for the next day of travel. and then they ran into a ghost. So
what? just chilling. Hi.
Yeah, just chilling.
I am
well, there
ghost.
there was a tower nearby that I described as being haunted. So I was like, okay, they're over here. Another random thing. It's just a ghost, and originally it was just gonna be like reliving its last moments, so they could see it like walking. It crossed the path. It turned. It reacted as if it was being hit by arrows, and then tried to move away. But then they started talking to it, and then it like reacted to them talking to it, and some unfortunate charisma checks, and then it tried to attack them.
Oh no! I was gonna say, it was like, I'm Ghost. I'm here to haunt you.
Hi,
and then just like Ghost. Yeah, Ghost joins the party, and then it's like the 2 horses, the 2 carts, and the ghosts is on the journey.
Yeah, this is the ghost trip now.
Yeah.
But they did try to like convince it to stand down, and they did just well enough to make it like calm down a bit. But the wizard just kept blasting it with Disrupt Undead.
Oh, just go to sleep. go to sleep.
So because it's a ghost, it will return, but it does again set up like stuff that's going on in this area. And then what happened next was something that I thought was really interesting, because I didn't expect it. But they wanted to go back to that tree they saw to investigate it again. To see if they could learn more about it. And, it was kind of an improv thing. Like, I just had, like, a faint idea of it's got some ancient carvings on it. You do see what seems like some sort of, like, love note thing.
Right.
But they were really interested in it, so it's like, sure, I'm not going to stop you. They did, like, lose a day of travel going back to it, but they were able to investigate it more. They discovered that someone put a spell on it specifically to preserve it.
Right.
But the carvings were, like, centuries old. They made some notes of them, which is going to give me some time to fill out more details of exactly what they are. I have a vague idea, but then I can actually write stuff down. But yeah, no, it was another one of those things that was like, I didn't expect this to happen, and now I have to improv something for it. But I'm glad, because it means they're taking an interest in the things that they're seeing and experiencing in this world. Because for me, it was just on a table, they see an interesting thing, and here's what I came up with in the moment. But now for them, it's something that's real and solid in this world, and it's something that they can learn more about. And that was just really a good thing for me, personally.
So is the sauce when they're like, hey, how does this actually work? Instead of just
yes.
like, where's the bad guys? Let's blast them. Like,
yeah, pretty much. It's because it's clear that they're invested. And that's that sort of thing. Because I think I mentioned before, you do want to ask people like, how'd you feel about the game and things like that. But it's always very clear if people are like, they want to schedule the next session like as soon as possible, or they're very invested in what's going on. Like, it's very clear they're into the game.
The after table talk can very much tell you like how well it went, right? If people are like, if you guys just like did something crazy, or like, oh my god, that NPC is such a dick, we're gonna go back and go kill that guy or something, like, it's like right, you can just really kind of tell whether or not by the level of conversation after the game, if you guys are rushing out to go do something, like, can
like,
tell you a lot.
You get that vibe. I'm just I live for that. So
that's the sauce. Give me the sauce.
Exactly.
Tell me I did a good job.
That is the sauce. They did also, because they traveled back a bit, I was able to bring Tilto back. Because Tilto, this kobold, who was part of the kobold clan that was taken over by this wyvern, who was the only one who realized, hey, wyverns aren't dragons, he has nowhere else to go.
They don't have enough arms.
Exactly. Not enough arms. But he has nowhere else to go, because he can't go back to his family, and he can't go to the town that was just attacked by kobolds. So he was trying to follow the party, but they were on horses and walking fast. So because they went back a day, he was able to keep up with them. So he is with them now. And then the last thing that happened was, again, another roll on the table. And for one, I didn't have to use any of what I tried to prepare. I didn't have to use any of my sentences, because the whole session was just stuff from that random table. The last thing that happened was they both like because there's two carts. I've got two people doing nature checks to run them.
Right.
But they both critically well, no, yeah, it was a critical fail because one was actually a 1 on the die, and the other was 10 below the DC. So they both critically failed, and then on the what table to roll on thing, it was a enemy. They rolled to get an enemy. So then I rolled to see what enemy they got, and they got some wolves.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah, man, wolves. Actually, not too far from where Keeley was killed by wolves.
No!
Not so long ago.
No! Keely, no! Oh, it's hilarious that the wolves are there.
Yeah, so I rolled a random number of wolves. They faced 4 regular wolves and 2 dire wolves.
Jeez. And this is where I presume they got their asses handed to them.
Yep, the very same place.
Yeah,
So
dire wolves are really strong. You know, I didn't even realize there was a dire wolf entry in the bestiary for like a year because I just went and saw wolves, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh god, dire wolves are right here. I did not notice them because what I would do is instantly just go to like winter wolf because I was like, oh, I guess they just didn't put the dire wolf entry in the book, right? Because
yeah.
I'm really bad at reading, and then I thought that when you kill Keeley with the dire wolf, like the ability where like they're grappled, you can like shake them, just do automatic damage, right?
yeah.
Like I thought you made it up on the spot. I was like, oh man, that's pretty good. I like that.
No.
And then I realized that this was not homebrewed. This was actually in the book, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
No, they just do that. I made up the
Like-
thing where they could summon more wolves, but no, that was just something they did.
Oh man, that was a scary dog. And they're only like CR4 or something like that.
I think 3 or 4. I just did their XP, so I should remember.
Yeah.
It's 3.
It's 3. They're only CR3.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's like you can murder a first level party person just super easy. Man, wolves, I tell you, man, like a pack of wolves, I think are still the scariest thing.
I mean, they are.
At low levels, man. Like it just takes a few lucky rolls on your part, and all of a sudden, one dude is super dead.
Yeah.
Mauled and dragged off. Like
The wizard went down a couple of times because
Yeah.
I know he wants to change his character, but I don't want to kill him on purpose. But
yeah, just chop that guy. Just chop him. I'm
I mean, he was in position to get chopped because the wolves, like, they have pack tactics, and of course they also understand flanking, so they're going to try to surround
Yeah.
people, which is
Yeah.
pretty much what they were doing. The magic people, the druid, the wizard, and the sorcerer were all shooting off fireballs, like various like flaming sphere and burning hands, and it's like, you guys and your goddamn fire. The new rogue, he did some sneaking. He was facing off against a direwolf pretty much on his own for a significant amount of time. So he did have to...
badass.
He was, like, grappled by the wolf for a few times. But he did get some help from Tilto, who got some very lucky hits in. Because Tilto is just a level -1 kobold.
Oh my god, Tilto, you brave son of a bitch.
Tilto did get, like, because Tilto has 8 hit points, and he got exactly 7 damage from from the Shocker Lizard companion of the Druid, who let off a burst area thing, and then it's like reflex save. Tilto succeeded on the save, so he only got half damage. So he got 7 damage out of his 8 hit points.
Oh my god.
But, like, I don't know, he doesn't have spells on him to heal himself, so he's gonna keep fighting. This is all he knows how to do.
That's nuts.
So yeah, very, very lucky that Tilto is still alive. The party apparently plans to drop him off at the next town and hopefully let him be able to find his way from there and maybe get help for his clan, because I don't think they're going to want to drag him all the way across the map where they're going. But again,
that's true.
It's like a thing that's like, I'm glad they're invested in the fate of this guy, because they could just have like left him or not cared at all, but the fact that they actually acknowledged, well, we can't just leave him, we'll take him to the next town.
Yeah.
I just really appreciate that.
I'm assuming that your party isn't made up of terrible people. Like
Yeah, also that.
they're kind of good people, which I really appreciate in parties. Not saying that like evil or morally ambiguous parties shouldn't exist or like they're bad or whatever, but it's like I really appreciate that, like, the you can be morally gray, but you're kind of skewed towards kind of not being an asshole like right off the bat. Like, you know, like, it takes a little bit for you to like get frustrated, and the party's like, nope, we're just gonna kill him. Like, you know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, I like that resistance to just murder people. I appreciate that a lot. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad for it. I'm just, I don't know. It's so nice to me that they're invested in this place. But
Yes.
so they are going to keep moving on to the next town, and they're a day's travel away from a little town that I named Godswater.
Oh God.
You remember that place?
Great, Godswater.
Yeah. So they're crossing over where you guys were a couple of sessions ago.
Yeah, a good thing we did a bunch of stuff. Actually, I don't know where it is in time. If the stuff that we did.
Their sessions are like a few months after where yours
After.
were. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome.
So I'm trying to decide now, like, what kind of state the town would be in at this point.
I don't remember what we did. I think we cleared out some bugs.
Yeah, because when I was playing with you guys, because I'm playing everything on the same map for our listeners who are not in our games, playing everything on this homebrew map. And previously I had the session with another set of characters going from one place to another, and now these characters going from one place to another. And just so happens the paths are crossing. So yeah, though this is something that I have to like figure out. The benefit of having a map I'm using for every game, because when you guys rolled through, you helped them deal with some insect infestations. You went to this pool of magical water, then you got attacked by a water creature.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, I'm excited for them to see it. Godswater.
Yeah, and so they're gonna leave Tilto there, and it's like I don't know if Well, I mean, it depends on time and stuff. I'll see if you guys end up back there in a few months.
Oh, and then maybe Tilto will be there. Maybe Tilto will find a god, and they can. Maybe he'll become like a paladin or a cleric by the time we get there. And he's like, I shall liberate my people.
Yeah, maybe he'll follow some sort of actual dragon god. Who knows?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, cool. You know, I didn't realize that there were no dragons in your world when we were playing in it, which is kind of interesting. You got a lot going on in that place. Well, I guess I got a lot going on in my place too, because like there's all sorts of people trying to blow up the world all the time everywhere. So I guess that makes sense.
I mean, for my case, it's a matter of, because I make everything for every game, so all of my ideas end up in here. So but also it depends on what's going to be relevant for people. So like the no dragons thing, it wasn't really relevant for you guys, so it wasn't an obvious fact. But it is one for this group. But this group doesn't know as much about like the region that you've been in for a while now. Like they don't know, they're not going to know things you know because it's not relevant for them.
True. Wow, that's kind of cool, man. That stuff is like the reason why I want to roll my own world, and kind of just have the stuff set in motion, and then let another group through, and then by like the third group who runs through that place, like, you know, you'll have a way better idea on your list of things that have happened in actual history, right? Like your players are making history, right? So when another group comes through, you could dial the time scale wherever you want. And, you know, you can reference back to that stuff that, you know, players have added into the game. And especially, I think it's pretty cool for reoccurring players who are like, oh, yeah, there was like this wizard or something who shot fireballs. And he's like, he lives over there now. I was like, wait, is that my wizard? I was like, yeah.
That's actually...
yeah, he's over there.
Like, that is a great idea. Like, that's actually what's going on with Critical Role. Like, their second campaign is, like, I think 20 years after the first one. So there's still remnants of ideas and things that happened there. And then, like, whenever they come across it, there's always, like, this explosion at the table. And there was one really big thing that I don't want to spoil because it was, like, a really big deal.
Okay.
But it brought some emotional closure to something that happened in the previous game that was just, like, really, really awesome to see. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to do that sort of thing. I didn't set it up this way, but if one of these campaigns ever comes to an end and I do some sort of, like, decades-long time skip, for sure I want to try that.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the end goal of Ineon, is to like reset Inyan with all the shit that everybody else put in there, and then be like, have a new batch of players be like, here you go. figure out what hell happened here.
Exactly. That's the dream, man.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see Macy's mace become an artifact level bullshit, and like have all the, because she's a magic. She's a wizard, right? You're a wizard's tower, but it's like muscle tower. It's like a wizard barbarian.
Yeah, wizard barbarian. Yeah. She's so angry she does magic somehow.
Yeah, she does magic. She just wills into existence with her rage. And at the end of it, someone's gonna find this random mace in this random tower that looks like a fist, and it's just gonna be like, oh, this mace can cast fireball for some reason.
But why would Macy leave her mace behind? What happened to her? I want to know.
Who knows? You have to find out. You gotta get to the end of the campaign, Calvin.
It would be really funny if I was in that and like, as me, I want to know like what happened to Macy, and my character is just like, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah. Why is it so weird? It's really big.
Who would use this?
Yeah, who would use this stupid thing? It's poorly balanced. It's rusting a bit. Old ass mace.
Terribly inefficient. It's just worst possible weapon.
Yeah, you know what I'll do? I'll just pull like a Star Wars thing and put Luke's lightsaber in Maz Kanata's junk drawers. Throw like Macy's thing inside of like a scrap pile. I'm like, oh, what's this? Like, I don't know, but it's just full of trash. Just pulls it out.
Yeah, like how'd you get this? I don't know. Just ended up here one day.
Yeah, right. Cool. Thanks, Disney. Just like, oh yeah, this Luke's lightsaber. I found it in a thrift shop or whatever. It's like a yard sale. I just picked it up. Yeah, I found it in a cloud.
But yeah, like what was really interesting, and what was sort of the topic I meant to talk about, is I did some prep stuff for this. Yeah. And I didn't need any of it. I ended up doing more improv than prep. And I just wanted to talk about like the difference between those two, or how much of one you need to do versus the other. Because like I wrote down like for several spaces in the region like something that's going on there, but I didn't need any of them because everything that happened, and it was all interesting stuff. Like they met this new bard, he's off somewhere. They ran into this ancient tree, they got notes about it. They ran into some wolves and a ghost, and like stuff happened. Like even a dangerous battle happened, or just learning about this spirit that they want to try to put to rest now. And this was all just random things. So I don't know. I kind of wish I could go back to Calvin from a few days ago and say, "Hey, don't worry about it."
Well, that's the thing, right? That's why I always try to not plan too far ahead. Like I do a lot of, I call them like batch work preparations. Like I'll think about a bunch of stuff beforehand and then just kind of let it sit in notes. And then on like while we're playing, I'll pull them up and be like, what did I write like 2-3 weeks ago, or like a month ago or a year ago about this place? Like, oh, okay, cool, I got it right here, right? So it's usually just like, I don't know, like 2 sentences, like very dangerous dragon here, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, I know what you mean, Ramon, from like 6 months ago.
Yeah, like that is what I wish I could do more of, because I always want to be like, okay, I know where they're going, so I'm gonna set up like specific things here and here. But that was kind of more what I was doing, which was like, here's some ideas and then we'll like run into them. I don't know if I can do that, because that just makes me so, because like I did do that and it just makes me so nervous, because it's like, did I prepare enough of this one thing in case they go there? Or if I put too much into it, is that going to be too much of this one thing that they don't come across?
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think of like the way I do it. It's obviously always a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
Like you're always doing some improv some nights, you're always doing some prepared work some nights, but it's like, you know, if I'm feeling up for it and I get an idea for like a dungeon or something like that, like I'll plan out that dungeon a little bit, where it's just like, okay, who's here? What other cool stuff is here, and why is a dungeon here, like what it was, and then what it's being used now, right?
Yeah.
So I'll like probably if I'm doing like a dungeon, it's not like a random one-off thing. It's like they need to go do this thing, right? So I'll just repeat that a couple times, and then I'll just like have that on the ready to throw it into places. whenever I'm like, I feel like there should be the next plot thing. I was like, I prepared this a long time ago. Let me shoehorn this into the story, right? Like I just grabbed the staple gun, and I staple it in. I was like, all right, good to go. Like,
but you can't see the staples from the other side.
Yeah, right. It just like on the backside, it's all duct tape and staples and glue, but the outside just seamless, just completely seamless. Like it's always meant to be there.
Yeah, like that is one of the things I hope to communicate with this podcast. Like there is a lot of putting things together on the fly or not being sure about what you're doing when you're running games, but that's really like the fun of it in some ways. Creating this improvised narrative with your friends. That's how you win with dice.
Definitely. Just stuff isn't as serious. Just kind of roll with it, and usually your party kind of flim-flams their way through stuff, and that's like most of the fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like your party is going to like give you prompts even without realizing it.
Yeah, but I think it's the type of game that you're running right now. Is because it's definitely like I think I mentioned this before. It's definitely like a road trip oriented kind of game. Like the journey is most of it. Like the actual doing of the stuff is like kind of important, but like a big chunk of it is just like, let's go stop through all these small towns and.
Because it works so well for like the quest of the Fate Seer party. And it was totally by accident.
Hey man, it's a cool idea. I don't think anybody is ever gonna say like, oh, that's dumb. Like I want to get to the end. I'm not trying, I don't think parties actually want to speed run.
No, obviously.
Right. They mostly just kind of like want cool stuff to happen, and their characters to be important and whatever, and
it's very like, if I'm sure you've been watching Mandalorian, right?
Yeah,
it's very much like, even in the first season, the way he has to go, he goes one place and he does a side quest, and he goes another place and he does a side quest. He goes somewhere and they're like, well, I need your help with this thing, and here's this piece of information. And then he goes there and he's like, well, I can give you this piece of information, but I need your help with this thing. That's like every episode. Right. That is that's very much the kind of like way I've ended up DMing. Not intentionally, but it's been working amazingly so far.
Yeah, and like if I could like point out, like the Mandalorian is kind of like a good. What I say is like, it's kind of like how I think D&D should be played.
Yes,
if that's weird. If I could say, it's like, Mando goes out and does a bunch of things, meet a bunch of people, do a bunch of side quests. He impacts onto their lives, and then now I think in season 2, whoever's watching, like now he's kind of like returning back to all those old allies that he made because he helped them out, asking them for help, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that's what you want. You want your players to go out, meet a bunch of NPCs, do some good for them. They help you out, you help them out, and then eventually when the players are in a bind, they're like, wait, we helped those guys out. Let's go talk to them, and then that's it. It's
exactly.
Like, we did it.
Exactly.
Did it, right?
Like he has allies that have certain things now, or they need some kind of help, or they're like indebted to him. So yeah, he just goes back, and then like Mandalorian is, again, it is excellent. Like if you like rip that off for a one-on-one session, or even just treated it like the whole party like that, I think that would be a great game.
No, yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. From again, for like my preparation is mostly because I'm pretty into combat. Like that's my the first thing I go to play these type of role play games is cool combat and cool weapons and enemies and being a party and figuring out that kind of deadly situation. That's like the bread and butter for me, right? So especially if I'm starting like a new chapter or something, and I call them like chapters or pages or whatever you want to call them for like your plot, right? So it's like, okay, my first thing is who are the bad guys and what do they want to do and how do they go about it, right? Like that's like what I do. And then it's like, okay, if you're just like there's a bad guy, he also has to have an evil organization. What's the evil organization looks like? Who are the grunts people? Who's in charge? If I needed to put together like an encounter right now, what would that encounter look like, right? What are the pieces I get to play with? I think that's kind of like stemming from, my I mean, I play Warhammer 40k, so it's like, you know, what I'm trying to like every time I sit down to build an encounter, it's like, okay, what cool army bits, what kind of army this is, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses? You know, what's the party good at, and what do I need to challenge them with? Like, I need to give them like the things that they're good at, so they can like, you know, feel good about themselves. And then I'm like, okay, now I gotta really challenge them. What are their weak spots? How can I capitalize on that? And then I'll do that. And then all the story and plot and stuff like that kind of comes afterwards. I think it's just easier for me to put it together that way. And I think I talked about it maybe a couple of episodes ago. I don't know, maybe I'm starting to lose track of time again.
I'm sure we've probably I don't know, what did we talk about?
We talked about like just running through encounters.
Test running encounters.
Test running encounters, right?
I think that was episode 20. No, not 21. Maybe episode 20. I don't know.
Episode 20. Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I'm guessing.
But yeah, so you know, I sometimes I test out encounters and be like, okay, how does this work? Is it going to work? Like, where are the bad parts? You know, and I try to play to the strengths of the system too a lot of times, where it's like, you know, Pathfinder has a really good system of like, grab whatever monsters you want, just make sure that they're within this range and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I just look in the book and be like, okay, they're like level 5. I can get to go up to level 9 or whatever, or go down to level thing. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just skim through the monster manual, just pick out monsters and stuff like that. And then afterward, the story just kind of falls into place, because then it's like, you know, the next bad guy is a bunch of hobgoblins, and they have a bunch of hobgoblin forts. And I was like, well, now the hobgoblins have to be dealt with, because, you know, they're pushing into, I don't know, what is it? What did I say for Inyan? It was like, the hobgoblins were setting up hobgoblin forts, and they were attacking centaurs. And I was like, cool, we got hobgoblins on one side, you got centaurs on one side. That's cool narrative. I'll figure it out from there.
Yeah. They'll fill in all the other stuff from there.
Pretty much. Yeah, I don't know. Players are happy, I guess.
I think so.
I always feel like I'm a crappy TM, because I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like, here are the bad duders.
But that's the thing, though, is like, still, like, from the other side, like, the players don't see that, so it still seems like, oh, hey, cool things going on. They don't see like what was put together, like what was prepared, what was improvised.
Yeah, and it's also like I like to invent like my own magical weapons and abilities, right? Like, I always give people a whole bunch of cool toys, and the toys are definitely to kill monsters. So then it's like, I'm kind of have like a positive feedback loop, where it's like, well, now I can plan really intricate, really cool, tough encounters, because I've already given you guys the tools to solve it, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, then your reward for solving those problems is more tools to solve more problems, and I can get the problems even worse.
Yes.
And it's just like slowly we're turning into like this crazy, like this, it's just exponentially gonna go up. Which is what I want. So yeah, that's just kind of like how it is. Which is kind of like how I guess all D&D is. It's just like, you show up, you do a thing, and then you get better at doing the same thing over again next time.
Yeah, there's plenty of room for power to creep in.
Yeah, lots of power creep.
Especially at lower levels. We've got plenty of space, plenty of time. These guys are only level 4, so...
Jeez. Oh, really? Well, I mean, I think like the highest level campaign I'm running right now is like, you guys are only like level 6. You guys are only 2 levels away. I mean, you're catching up pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, like, the way I've been doing leveling is the same for you guys, where I keep track of XP, but I do like party XP. Which I guess, well, we can talk about leveling and progress a bit. Unless you have more you want to say for improv or prep.
I don't know. Just sometimes, just for improv, just like stop and just listen to your players. Let them talk, because they'll just feed you ideas. They'll tell you exactly what they want.
Yeah.
And then you just give it to them.
If they tell you what they think, they're telling you what they want.
Yeah, right. And then you're like, yeah, okay, we can do that. And then that's where you input your spicy injection of like a little bit of drama.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, how did you know? It's like, because you said it like last session.
Yeah, you got the puzzle piece, then you make it fit, and then it's like, yeah, this is what it looked like the whole time.
Yeah, definitely. Don't mind the duct tape on the back.
Don't look back here.
Don't look back here.
And then there's just like a post-it note that says "Kobolds?" ?
Yeah, just kobolds ? That's like the thesis statement of like the entire campaign. It's just kobolds ? I think I've done way less.
Yeah.
Anyway, XP, again, Pathfinder is great because Pathfinder has the great chart where you can just look up and just do the math super quickly and give everybody XP, because it's just like, here you go. Right? If this monster is like this much higher level than your party, then it gets this much XP, and it just makes things so much better. Because before you used to have like XP tables of like all of the CRs, and then you're like, okay, this CR monster is like the difference between a CR monster that's like 10, a CR 10 monster, and like a CR 1 monster might be like, you know, tenfold or something, going from like 5 XP to like, I don't know, like 50,000 or something.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's another chart where it's like, okay, now there's an exponential chart of, you know, of player leveling up, and it's like blah. I love Pathfinder straight up. It's just like you need 1,000 XP to level up, and as soon as you get to 1,000 XP, you just boom, you're good.
You reset. Yeah.
you're
I think Starfinder simplified that a bit, but I do like Pathfinder 2 more. Just because of I like it in terms of just how everything, like, it's because it scales to your level. So it's like if you fight something that's level like CR3 or whatever when you're low level, like, it might seem dangerous, but obviously it's going to be less dangerous as you move on. So your character develops less skill from it. Instead of saying this thing you beat when you're at level 1 versus beating it at level 6, it still improves you as much as it did back then, mechanically and narratively. Like, that doesn't make as much sense as it was easier to fight this thing, so you don't learn as much as you did previously.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's kind of set up for the ease of use too. Like, I just went into Excel and just like made like a simple formula, so I could just like be like, okay, there was 3 level 3s, 2 level 2s, whatever, right? Put in the level of the party, and just tells me how much it is, because it's just like simple math.
Oh, that's...
And I love that. It's just simple math. Yeah. I don't know if I could. I think I have it in a Google Sheets. It's like really, really simple. So maybe I'll just share it to you.
That would make my life easier, because like the party, I could do the XP last night, and I was like, look, I'm tired. I got to read 2 books to get this. Because I gotta get the level of the things I made them fight, and then I gotta do the calculation of, well, not the calculation, but just look at the table and say it was this much lower or higher, and then add that together.
Yeah.
And then, because I also give them bonus XP for doing cool stuff, which is normally like if something funny or interesting happens, it's like 10 bonus XP. If something really like crazy happens, then I give them a bit more, or if it's something that took a few sessions to put together. So I also had to go through my notes and be like, okay, this is worth bonus, this is worth bonus. So I was like, I can't do that right now.
Oh man, I'm surprised you even like write that stuff down. It's like sometimes I'm just like, after I get the number and I was like, plus 50, like whatever.
Because I want to be specific about it, but yeah, it's a video gamey thing for me, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think it's like you just want everything to be earned, and making sure that you crossed all of your checks and balances. Like, it's just like everything. It's like you and the travel time, right? It's just like, it's just to make it real for you, right? It's just like your jam. For me, it's just like how fast can I reasonably get them to the next level so I can use this cool dragon thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like at level 4, they're in a place where I have like a whole lot more options, especially like their party size of 4 people. So like I'm not like rushing them, because I still have like a lot of things I can throw at them.
Right.
But yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah, no, and the XP calculator too, it gives you like, you can be like, okay, I want like a very extreme difficulty, right? And it'll just give you like an XP budget. You just plug in the level of the monster, and the amount of them, and it'll just automatically do the math for you. And even you can adjust the number of players, and the whole sheet will just change for you. And you could be like, oh, this is actually 5 players, I'll put 5, and then like it'll just like, oh, okay, you actually need this much more, or this encounter is actually, you know, a little bit easier for them now by this much, right? And but like, you know, that's all just numbers. It's like, okay, well, you have a bunch of melee characters, and then there's a bunch of wizards show up flying on dragons, and they're just flying around shooting fireballs at you. What are you gonna do to them?
Like, yeah, like they might be low level wizards, but they still have certain advantages that you have to take into consideration.
Yeah, it's like, especially if you just can't hit them because you fail to bring something to hit them with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it is. I've come to like XP leveling a bit more than milestone leveling, if I'm being honest, though.
Oh, yeah?
Because with milestone, like, I think it works pretty well in terms of narrative, and it gives the DM a lot more control. My problem with it, though, is it ended up feeling like another plate that I had to spin. Because it was like, is this a good narrative moment for you guys to level up? Is this a good narrative moment for you guys to level up? And I couldn't really tell, because it was sort of like, it was like another thing that I had to keep track of, as well as doing like everything else the DM has to do. Now I also have to say, well, when do they get better at their stuff? And this just sort of offloads it.
Yeah, totally. And I find that because, like, you know, you're probably gaining like 100 to maybe 200 XP a fight, right?
Yeah.
Right. So then you're looking at 5 fights, right? And you're thinking about like, okay, well, 5 fights to the next level, sure. And then it's like, you know, a big chunk of that might be a boss fight. So it's like maybe like you're hitting like 300 per fight. So you're looking at maybe 4 fights. You probably do like 2 fights a night, maybe 1. So you're looking at like, you know, 2 to 3 sessions worth of stuff happening before you get an extra level. And it's like, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like long enough time for players, I think, to feel like things are progressing enough for them to, you know, the story and everything, and their characters are getting better, right?
Yeah. So like, I don't have to keep track of like, oh, it's been a couple of sessions since their last level up, maybe this is a good one. When I'm doing those calculations, it's usually going to be like a handful of sessions, like a proper number, and then they'll level up. Like with these guys, probably going to be after next session they'll level up, and it's been a while. They've done a lot of dramatic stuff, so it seems like an appropriate time. Then I don't have to do that myself.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I find that like, if you want to think about that narrative arc, it's like you kind of, I feel like you should front load, like make your, don't really change like the I guess the kind of leveling range of your bad guys, I guess. So it's like, I want them to like feel like, oh god, we're all gonna die at the beginning of this arc, because like all of a sudden this, you know, the season starts, the bad guys are bad, they're like, oh no, we're too new, and then it's progressively through the story, like, okay, we get a bunch of cool abilities, they level up, but the bad guys kind of stay the same. The bad guys are like, oh god, these heroes are real heroes or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, like there's like a point where like the side flips, where they're like a little bit ahead of the curve, and now they're stomping monsters they were scared of, but then it's like the bad guy shows up, the big bad shows up again, and his lieutenants are like, oh god, this guy's kind of crazy, and, you know, they're going the back foot for a little bit, they're like, oh god, we got to really figure this out, and then eventually the party just like gets their shit together and then like overcomes it, and then they're like, oh this, and then they destroy the bad guy, and they're like, yeah, we did it, and then the next season happened, they're like, oh god, we're stuck again. Like,
yeah, bigger bad guys.
Bigger bad guys show up, and then it's just like back and forth. I always want the feeling of we're all gonna die to wow, we're so strong, to we're all gonna die again. And I think that keeps everything interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and that can even change like in the pace of a battle, because you can come in pretty strong, and then some bad luck happens, and then it goes back and forth a bit, because that sort of did happen with the wolf fight. They came in pretty strong, and then it started to look really bad kind of in the middle when people, like the wizard was going down and the rogue was in the wolf's mouth, but they were able to turn it around towards the end, and then they were like knocking off like 1 or 2 wolves per turn. Yeah.
That's really good, and that's why I love encounter design and stuff like that. That's like my jam. And that's I guess preparation in a nutshell. What we're talking about.
Also leveling.
Also leveling, yes. I mean, so for the pirate game, I am doing kind of checkpoint leveling, I guess. What was it called? Milestone leveling. Yeah, but only because like I just do it based on feeling, not like anything really. It's just kind of like, I think you guys have done enough at this level. I think you guys should get some new tools, and then I'll get some fun stuff to work with, and then we'll go play for a little bit longer. And then it's like, where I'm like, oh, okay, I think everyone's figured out what the new stuff they have does, and then it's like, now it's time to level up and give them some new jazz, right?
Yeah, like that was my problem though, is I couldn't figure that out. I couldn't wrap my head around, okay, now's a good time, so let's just do it now, and then what is the next good time, and then try to anticipate it.
True. Well, I could tell it's like it's like once I find that every time someone, especially in Pathfinder, because everyone like across the board gets new stuff, like new cool abilities that really change the dynamic of the party, like new spells that are bigger, or like they just do more stuff, and fighters get like a new feat, so they're able to like do cool combos better now or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, then the party, there's always like, okay, new next level, everyone chooses, everyone's super excited, like, oh, finally I get this cool thing. And then it's like, okay, how do we work together again, right? Everyone wants to use up the new spells and do all the cool stuff, but then it's like eventually the party gets into like a rhythm, right? And then once the rhythm gets together again, then I think you're good enough, in a good position to just like slam them against the boss, because the boss usually takes that much time, and then the boss shows up, and then they're like, okay, we know what to do now, and then you guys do it.
Yeah,
right?
like the test of their abilities.
Yeah, then you get some new loot, get some cool magic swords or like a special magic staff, and you're like, oh cool, got this cool stuff, and then back to experimenting again. And like, I don't really know how this works again. We have to figure out how to make our party dynamic work again, right?
Yeah.
And then because I can really tell that from I think you guys in the pirate campaign, because you guys recently leveled up right before you guys leveled up when you got to Alinea, I think. You guys did that, and then you guys mucked around in Alinea for a little bit, and then eventually at the final fight I realized that like, oh yeah, you guys are kind of figuring out what to do now, like how all your stuff works. And everybody has like a role, especially with the fight with Falzor. I was just like, oh yeah, you guys kind of feel like a well-oiled machine. Like, even though I'm throwing all these curveballs at you, it's like the time of decision making, right? I think that's the thing. It's like the actual decision making time, like in real time, of like what to do on your turn. It's like it was actually way shorter from the amount of weird ass curveballs I was throwing at you, and that was like a good indication, being like, okay, you guys are actually good to level up again. Like, you guys could probably just, right? So it's like, and then it's like I just get to keep going as much as I want until we get to the end boss, where I'm like, oh, you guys can probably fight this boss, and then we're done. And I just weave the narrative in between that.
Okay, see, this is what I mean when I say you're a good DM, because I couldn't figure out how to gauge that, and I guess guessing it by how long it takes people to make decisions is a good like way to sort of summarize that, because that means they're used to their abilities, they know what they're doing, so that's a good time to like throw something else in the pot for them to figure it out. Yeah,
and it makes it so it rewards the players for showing up and playing and figuring out how to be a well-oiled machine. It's like here's your reward. Here's some new tools for you to put in their toolkit. Yeah,
right? you figured this stuff out, so here's another thing. That's actually pretty good. I kind of wish I knew that, but I do like the XP stuff. But
yeah, honestly, I think it's because I played a lot of XCOM.
Okay,
it's like I don't know when because I play a lot of it. I just know how the things work, and it's like. Eventually it got to a point where I knew all of the resources my units could do, and it's like the time I actually spent thinking about like what to do was like, once it dropped down lower and lower, then I knew I was a very comfortable place with this team makeup or something like that, right? And then it's like they'll level up, and then I'll get a new ability and be like, okay, how does this thing work? Can I capitalize on this? Who do I need to partner this person with? And then it just kind of, and then I'll figure that out. That's kind of how like I translate it to watching other people play their characters, right? And and it's like I always try and give people a bunch of random stuff too. It's like, here, take this random necklace of fireball. Who knows when you're going to need to use that? Because I don't.
Not soon.
I really don't, honestly. And then it's like, oh no, I don't know how to fight this flying ice dragon, except I have these necklace of fireballs.
That should be useful in an ice dragon.
Right. And it's just like you just kind of keep random stuff on your sheet just in case something throws you a loop. That's why I always give out. I think I give out a lot of magic items. I give it a lot of stuff, like resources, magic items, whatever. Like I'm like, here, take all this stuff. I'm not gonna pull my punches.
Yeah, I mean that works though, because we know, like, I mean, like with the demon net, we know we're gonna need it.
Yeah, which is funny too, because the demon net was, again, okay, if we're going back to improv, the demon net was just, my wife's character was like, I was like, okay, what do you guys want? And she's like, and, you know, she's new to D&D, and she just doesn't have like the she has the gall to just tell you exactly what she wants. Right?
The sheer boldness to say exactly what she
wants, right? So then she's like, it's like, oh, there's a demon forest, so you might be going in there. Is there like a demon net? First she said like, I want a demon bug repellent, and I was like, we don't have spray can technology in this place right now. Okay, there's no demon bug repellent. And she's like, okay, fine, how about a demon net? And I was like, yes. It was like the light bulb went on, and I was like, this is excellent. Yes.
Absolutely, you can have a demon net.
Absolutely. But I told her she only gets one of it, and it's hard to come by. And then you guys used it to great effect, but then it got burnt up. And then I think you guys might have to try and make a new one, which turned it into a whole new quest. Like speaking of that, I honestly don't know. Okay, so it's not spoilers, because like if you guys were going to make a new demon net, right? I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. I've already planned out, like my idea was like, okay, these are the list of ingredients to make it, because you already have the person who already made it in your NPC pool, right?
Yeah. I guess we do.
Yeah, all you have to do is just get her the ingredients again, and then she could just make you another den, right?
Yeah.
But the ingredients are very specialized, and I was like, okay, oh, let me go back to, you know, a year ago, Ramon, and look through my things. Where do you get cool ingredients from? And then I'm like, oh yeah, the witch market. And the witch market is like it's like on the solstice, I think, whatever the one with the longest night is, right? So it's like
okay. I think
the witch market is like, yeah. So on that day, right, is where all of the fae, like all the magical fae, witches, warlocks, whatever, right? They all have like basically like a flea market. It's basically just like a really, really big flea market in this interdimensional space where it's like you enter, like you just enter it, like, and it's like it'll pop up everywhere around my world. There's a place where you can just on this day go to the what did I say, the witch market, right? Mm-hmm. And you go to the witch market, and there's all these sales, and there's all these witches, and they're all selling crazy stuff, right? Like angels' tears, or like 2 left feet, or like, you know, just like, you know, a mother's love, like, you know, random weird esoteric shit. And it's like, well, you guys have to go to the witch market. So now it's like a year ago, Ramon paired off, because I figured out like, okay, if someone ever needs something ridiculous, I know where they can go get it, because I had a cool idea a while ago, and then let's put it in my notes, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this is where this is gonna come handy. Kind of deal. So.
Yeah, that I need to do more of. That's the thing I want to do a lot more of, so I have those things lying around. I mean, I for sure think we need another one of those, so maybe we will end up in that place. And that session will end up on our next recap episode.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, dude, it's I'm very happy with both the campaigns I'm running. Actually, all of my campaigns are running so far, including Lancer and stuff like that too, which we live streamed, which was super awesome. And I think I'm getting more comfortable with doing stuff in the setting. Mm-hmm. So as I start, I think it was just kind of like first session jitters, honestly. Yeah. Because it's like, I was worried about like plot stuff, and I was like, man, I just gotta set these guys up with some stuff to kill, and then I'll figure it out later, which I think I have figured out a little bit more of it now. So
it was a big day, so
yeah,
that's fair. I do want to get back to Lancer, but we will make an announcement of when we're able to continue streaming that. If you want to see more of us, just be sure to check out the channel. I will be guesting again on the Untold Stories project channel. I don't know. I don't entirely remember what they've announced, if I'm being honest. So I am going to be there again later in the month, and keep an eye on it next year, just in case, something might be there. I don't think they've announced what it is, but they've hinted at it. So if you check out the channel, you might be aware. When this goes up, it'll be after the second part, but you can check out their channel for the VOD. And be sure to check out our channel and subscribe to it if you want to hear more from us. Hopefully you might have gained some ideas of like how prep and improv goes into games, and maybe get an idea of how you can help level your party up if you're running a game. If you get the sense that they know what they're doing, maybe that's a good time to bump them up if you're not tracking XP, if you're doing milestone leveling. So yeah, if you want to hear more cool tips like that, subscribe, ring that bell so you get a notification when we upload an episode. Ramon, did you want to say anything else real quick before I go into the whole shebang?
Well, I wanted to say if you guys want to share any of your ideas of how to handle anything we covered today in our talks, or you just want to maybe give put in the comments what class level you should give that kobold.
Yeah, I don't know what Tilto's gonna be yet. I think if they leave him behind, I'll make like a very level 0 player character.
I'm excited for Tilto to become like a real paladin. That's what I want. Deep down. I want the next time 10 sessions later, Tilto shows up to save their ass, and he's just like covered in like armor and he's carrying a badass flaming sword. He's like, I'm here to save my friends.
That would be amazing. But you know me, I gotta track time accurately, so I gotta figure out an accurate amount of time for him to progress in levels.
Yeah, but that's my dream. I always love one-off random ass characters becoming important.
Oh, I can't wait for that. So if you want to, we are gonna of course keep doing recaps of games we're running and we're playing in. So if you want to hear more of those, stick around. Also check us out on Twitter and Facebook at winwithdice. You can see us making posts. You can also check out our website, winwithdice.ca, to see content there that might not be on our channels, anything that we have that we might upload, like pictures and stuff. We are going to put our Lancer stats up there. I'm just putting together a post. I want to make it look real nice, but we are going to put our Lancer stats up there. If you're interested in our Lancer characters, be sure to check out our Lancer stream that we streamed a couple weeks back. I'll put a link to it as well, just so you can check out that video and see the kind of things we do when we're playing games, or see any other previous videos where we're playing games. I think that is everything.
Yeah.
Don't forget our website. It's really cool.
Can't put a lot of work into it. Go check it out.
Ramon, you have anything else to add before we sign off?
Nope, we're good to go.
Okay. Well then, everybody who's out there running games, playing games, planning games, just remember to keep on winning with dice. And we'll see you next week.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.